Today in Biology, Kingdom Prokaryote, Monera, you will learn about different methods of controlling microorganisms. First is immunization and vaccination, methods of prevention of diseases and treatment that have been introduced to control microbial diseases. They include immunization, and its example is vaccination, that is use of vaccines. Different methods are used like antisepsis. It is a procedure to eliminate or reduce the possibility of infections caused by microorganisms. For the treatment of cancer, a method called chemotherapy is used, and public health measures. Definition of chemotherapy is: it is a type of cancer treatment that uses one or more anti-cancer drugs. Public health measures include water purification, sewage disposal, and food preservation, or to save food from germs. Louis Pasteur made many discoveries concerning or associating with the cause and prevention of infectious diseases. In 1880s, Louis Pasteur isolated a bacterium which was responsible for chicken cholera or fowl cholera. It is an infectious bacterial disease of birds. He grew it in a pure culture medium. Pure culture medium contains, or it is a medium on which microorganisms are grown. To prove that he really had isolated the bacterium responsible for this disease, Pasteur made use of fundamental basic techniques which were devised by Sir Robert Koch. Picture of Robert Koch is given. He gave some points and these are known as Robert Koch postulates. These are: a specific organism can always be found in association with a given disease. The organism can be isolated and grown in pure culture artificially in the laboratory. The pure culture will produce the disease when inoculated or injected into an affected or susceptible animal. It is possible to recover the organism in pure culture from the experimentally infected animal. So these were the main points of Robert Koch about disease and its association with microorganisms. He arranged experiments for public demonstration, that is in front of public, in which he repeated an experiment that had been successful in many previous trials in his laboratory. He inoculated healthy chicken, that is use of injection, with his pure cultures, and waited for them to develop chicken cholera disease and die. But then, to his dismay or disappointment, the chickens failed to get sick and die. Reviewing each step of his experiment, Pasteur found that he had accidentally or by chance used the cultures several weeks old instead of fresh one cultures grown especially for demonstration. He soon discovered that somehow bacteria could lose their virulence. Virulence means ability to produce disease. After standing and growing old, but these attenuated, which are less virulent, that is, they have less ability to cause disease bacteria, they could still stimulate or activate the host. Which host? Chicken, to produce antibodies. Antibodies are the substances that protect the host chicken against infections or diseases due to subsequent exposure to the virulent organism. There is a difference between these two terms. Virulent means which has ability to cause disease. Attenuated means less virulent, which have less ability to cause disease. Pasteur next applied this principle of inoculation or injection with attenuated, less virulent cultures for the prevention of another disease, anthrax, and it worked. It became successful. What is anthrax? It is a serious infectious disease caused by rod-shaped gram-positive bacteria. That is also a bacterial infection. Pasteur next applied the principle of inoculation or injection with attenuated, less virulent, which have less ability to cause disease, cultures to the prevention of anthrax, and again it worked. And he called these attenuated, less virulent cultures of bacterial vaccines. Vaccine is a term which is derived from a Latin word vacca, which means cow. Immunization with attenuated, less virulent cultures of bacteria, process is known as vaccination. Now, what is vaccination? An inoculation given to produce immunity to a disease. Proper definition of inoculation is, it is a set of methods of artificially inducing or inserting immunity in a body against infectious diseases. Like injections are used. Pasteur honored Sir Edward Jenner, and his time period was from 1749 till 1823. Edward Jenner had successfully vaccinated a boy against another disease, smallpox, in 1796. Edward Jenner had learned that milkmaids who catch the disease or contracted cowpox disease from the cows they milked and never subsequently contracted or caught the much more virulent smallpox. That is, they developed immunity. Contracted means, that is, to contract a disease means to catch a disease, to get a disease and become infected. Accordingly, he tested his hypothesis or statement by injecting or inoculating young boy James Phipps, first with cowpox causing material and later with smallpox causing material, but the boy didn't get smallpox. Now there comes antibiotics, which we specifically use against bacterial infections. Anti means against. It is a Greek word. Anti means against and bios means life. Now what life? Microorganism, germs. Antibiotic picture is given. What are antibiotics? Its proper definition is, they are chemotherapeutic chemical substances and they are used in the treatment of infectious diseases. Antibiotics are synthesized and secreted by certain bacteria like actinomycetes, fungi. Today, many antibiotics are synthesized or made in the laboratory artificially. However, their origins or beginnings are living cells. That is, they are saying that antibiotics are also synthesized by living materials like bacteria. To determine drug of choice, one must know its mode of action, possible adverse side effects on human beings. Massive or huge quantities of antibiotics are being prepared and then used, which are followed by widespread problems of drug resistance in microorganisms. That is, germs also become immune to these medicines if they are used for long durations. This results in increasing resistance against disease treatments. Misused antibiotics can interact with human metabolism, chemical reactions. That is, these antibiotics can also have adverse effects on body organs. And in severe cases, they can cause even death of human beings. Misuse of antibiotics like penicillin, which is the first antibiotic obtained from a fungus Penicillium, it can cause allergic reactions in the body. Streptomycin affects auditory nerve. It is a bundle of nerve fibers concerned with hearing. Audition means hearing. As it affects the auditory nerve, so it ultimately causes deafness. Tetracycline is also an antibiotic. It causes permanent discoloration of teeth in young children. Use antibiotics as prescribed by the doctors or physicians. That is, self-medication is not a good thing. We should take or use antibiotics according to our doctor's prescriptions. Take dose at regular intervals and complete the treatment as advised by the doctors.